Jonah. This
Well,
one you are trying to clear your name. Be like say you won't run for this
I,
2027.
I read it recently, I think only last week, since we started a new week yesterday, that a former central bank governor, where I read it, the name was not given, but I know that, Sanusi was the central bank governor under him. Sanusi had to leave,
He was the one in the
you
middle of the
know.
controversy.
And unlike, well, for the first time, or at that time, we had a president who was not the minister of, petroleum resources, unlike Obasanjo, Buhari, and of course Tinubu today. These three, even as presidents were and are or is the Minister of Petroleum Resources. But let's get to the matter. The report actually had $58 million. That's the report I read. And Jonathan was quoted as saying that the then uh, president of Germany, invited him. And when he got to Germany, Angela Merkel at the time, before he could even sit down, that Angela Merkel asked him if indeed there was 58, as per the result, the report I read, if there was $58 million, missing from, the Nigerian treasury, all right, and all that. Now, no matter the figure, which is not the case now, was there anything like that? The only thing I can say here to exonerate him slightly is the fact that he was not the substantive minister of petroleum resources. But we also know what transpired in that ministry under Jonathan. Was there any missing fund? Even if it is 1 point something dollars, it's good money. Even now that the naira, according to the people, is also, crawling under the Ghanaian cities. So, who is telling the truth? Is akin to an Obasanjo telling us today about the Mambila saga. Is akin to an Atiku Abubakar telling us about Halliburton and other issues surrounding him. Is akin to even those who were governors who have cases with the EFCC and today are either senators or ministers or are walking free in this country. So, Jonathan should spare us. Because only last week on this program we're saying that those who were under him, and the story emanated from an example of the then National Security Advisor Dasuki, who would just write on a piece of paper, send to the central bank, and millions of dollars was being given out. And at the end of the day, Dasuki went down. Even those who got pittances from the amount involved were also taken down. But the Jonathan himself, who was president, nothing happened to him. And Nigeria said, yes, because he conceded defeat to Buhari. So, but even his wife was also taken. So they should spare us. They should have feelings for Nigerians who are suffering, whether past or present leaders. And I call them leaders with some bit of reservation because they are actually rulers. Well, Annie, I don't know what your take is on this.
Which obviously is an old one. But Jonathan is trying to clear his name because this is the big dent on his government. Which anytime you talk about Jonathan, you say, is it not the one that $49 billion was missing over him? I remember that time it was very funny. People were trending when he said, how can such money miss and America will not know? That was a very, very funny moment in his history. But for me, I think that what Jonathan is doing, he's trying to do a lot of damage control. Because he did not only talk about this issue, he also talked about the court case, where people said that it's possible he cannot contest for election because he has taken oath of office twice. And he said that the court had cleared him to say that he only took the one that he contested an election, not the one he took after his Oga died, So what I'm saying is that Jonathan is interested in 2027. So he's clearing every darkness surrounding his government. Because tell me why he will be talking about this now, almost 10 years after he left office. It's obvious that there's something he's trying to do.
I think talking about it now is like giving a historical perspective while clearing his name because
and he
the
didn't
issues
do the historic perspective for 10 years.
yes, that's what I'm saying, because the issues are popping up. As I speak with you, Peter Obi keep referring to his governorship in Anambra years after. Babangida just launched a book years after. And of course, if you look at most of the stories, like I mentioned, names of the likes of Obasanjo, Atiku, it even involved a former Attorney General and Minister of Justice who was recently cleared after so many years. He even ran out of the country. All right? So it is normal for politicians to do that. But again, we ask them to spare us. Now, when Buhari as military head of state, sorry, Obasanjo as military head of state had a Buhari as his controversial. There was the Gulf War, and Nigeria had what was called the Gulf Windfall. Babangida was accused of it. Abacha was accused. The same thing. So this is the same story.
So
now,
to be clear, are you saying you don't believe he wants to contest?
No, I'm not looking at the political.
Okay.
I'm looking at the issue involving
Okay.
the money, the corruption, whether it is true or false,
I'm looking
and
at
the
the
fact,
political.
yes, and the fact that yes, you have given the political angle to it, which is the very current. But I'm going into time to tell Nigerians that these people should spare us, because we have it at the back of our hands clearly. You know, particularly when presidents in power are also the ministers of petroleum resources. Since 1999, Obasanjo was, Yaradua was not, Jonathan was not. But when Buhari came, maybe he thought he was a young Buhari as a colonel at the time. He was also the Minister of Petroleum Resources. And today, Tinubu is the substantive minister. So we've been having ministers of state, petroleum resources. But these stories will continue to pop up. He has said his own. I know who Sanusi Lamido is, the Emir of Kano. I want to tell you that he's putting his records together and he will speak. Because
if it's the North that is pushing Jonathan to contest, like we are hearing, Sanusi will not say it.
May not. All right? May not. Because even when Angela Merkel asked him, and he was the one speaking as quoted in the report I read, he said he had not even sat down when the then leader of Germany asked him. And the figure there was $58 million. Well, it's good that he's, you know. But as at the end of last week, reports say the man has interest. Basically, the smoke is thick from his direction.
Yeah.
Very, very thick. Because if the PDP, for instance, has zoned to the south, since he may not go to the ADC, even the ADC, they're looking at either Peter Obi or Amechi, and of course the PDP probably will be looking at Jonathan. And the North is angling because we've seen 1, 2, 3, 4 persons speaking, you know, stridently in his favor. Again, we're watching. Who will lead us, not who will rule us? That is what we're looking for.
For sure, 2027 is coming with a lot of surprises. Some of the big names you are talking now will not even contest. You see what we have. There's a lot of alignment and realignment, and it's going to shock a lot of people. But in the coming days, we're ready to see the drama.
Absolutely.